Hello, we are John Giraldo Real Estate Group. If you want to receive advice on investing in real estate in Florida, United States, contact us to assist you in the process. Welcome to an in-depth analysis of the real estate market, a strategic guide for the Latin American and United States markets. Today, we will unravel the enigma that defines 2025, the great paradox. At first glance, news headlines in key markets in the United States and Latin America seem to contradict each other. Housing prices continue the relentless climb, while sales volumes of single-family properties are registering a slowdown. This apparent paradox raises a fundamental question among buyers, investors, and analysts. Has traditional buying and selling come to an end as we knew it, or are we witnessing the birth of a new paradigm? First, let's dispel a myth. We are not in a speculative bubble like the one that preceded the 2008 financial crisis. That crisis was driven by massive and irresponsible borrowing, a dynamic not observed on the same scale today. Instead, the true driver supporting and increasing housing prices is a deep and structural shortage of supply. Factors such as the lack of final land and insufficient construction to meet suppressed demand are the main causes of this situation. This dynamic has created a phenomenon we call the bifurcated market, where prices continue to appreciate despite a decline in sales volume. It is projected that housing prices for sale in Spain will grow between 4% and 5% in 2025, while in the United States, experts forecast ongoing appreciation, making home ownership an excellent long-term decision. However, the most tangible consequence of this mismatch is the accessibility crisis, especially in the US market. An analysis of data from Realtor.com reveals an impressive gap. The minimum recommended income to buy a median-priced home is between 7% and 151% higher than the average household income. To illustrate the magnitude of the problem, the report highlights that to purchase an average home priced at $715,000 in California, an income of $210,000 is needed. Fortunately, this crisis is geographically uneven. In states like West Virginia, Mississippi, and Arkansas, the average home price and monthly mortgage costs are significantly lower, making home ownership more feasible for families with more modest incomes. This leads us to the next question: who is really buying? Amid this crisis, new players are emerging. A widely discussed phenomenon is that of SFR companies and hedge funds that acquire thousands of single-family homes with cash offers. Their strategy is clear: to turn these houses into rental properties, which exacerbates the inventory shortage for traditional home buyers. On the other hand, an analysis challenges this concept, stating that most investors in the real estate market are small family investors and that large institutional players are less active than in previous years. And we cannot ignore the capital flight. The US market has seen a steady flow of high-value capital from Latin America. A study on the Miami market reveals that Latin Americans account for an impressive 86% of foreign buyers of new homes in South Florida. The motivations behind this capital injection are predominantly geopolitical and economic, seeking refuge and protection for their assets in one of the most stable currencies in the world, the US dollar. In stark contrast, the housing market in some Latin American countries has demonstrated remarkable resilience. Colombia is a clear example of this dynamic, with a historic 47.5% increase in new home sales in the first quarter of 2025. This rebound was driven by a combination of lower interest rates, controlled inflation, and, crucially, direct government intervention through social interest housing programs. Similarly, in Brazil, the government program My House, My Life boosted social housing sales by 31.7%. This shows us that governments and central banks are the true architects of this ecosystem. Monetary policy has become one of the most decisive forces. Recent interest rate hikes, driven by the fight against inflation, have made mortgage credit more expensive, limiting the purchasing capacity of the traditional market. However, the expectation of a rate decrease has created what is considered a golden opportunity for buyers and investors. Meanwhile, governments in Latin America have taken an active and fundamental role in mitigating the accessibility crisis with measurable success in sales volume. To conclude, the future of the market appears to be one where traditional buying and selling will increasingly be limited to those with investment capacity, or those who can benefit from direct subsidy policies like those offered in the United States. The key to navigating this new environment is not to expect a price collapse, but to understand the new rules of the game. This involves staying informed about investment trends, considering government support programs, and adopting a strategic perspective that recognizes political and monetary decisions are now the main drivers controlling the real estate market. In this context, the future belongs to those investors who are more strategic and adaptable. We are John Giraldo Real Estate Group. If you want to receive advice on investing in real estate in Florida, United States, contact us to assist you in the process.